Let's watch this interview with Pauline Hanson on Sky News about the return of the ISIS brides. I think there's 4 brides and 9 children, so a total of 13 people arriving back in Australia today. She brings up, obviously, the ideological concerns, the safety concerns in our community, and also the cost to the taxpayer to look after these people. And let's have a listen to the interview, and I'll have a few more comments at the end.
Surely allowing people who have voluntarily joined the Islamic Caliphate under ISIS back into this country poses a security risk?
Of course it does, Chris. I'm really angry, disgusted. I don't have the words to explain how I feel about this, and I don't think I think any differently to millions of other Australians out there how they feel about this. I tell people I'm really concerned about their ideology, their belief, why they went over there, and we've allowed them back in. It costs about $2 million per person to actually look after them for their security, national security, for the rest of life, because I'll tell you, they won't be getting jobs, and then there are children on top of it. We are fools, absolutely fools. I wouldn't have them anywhere near this place. The government had to give passports to them. You know, why didn't they not give them passports? They say you can't displace them if they're Australian citizens. I haven't even been told, have they got dual citizenship? Could we, are they only Australian citizens? It is disgusting what's happening, and I can't stand their ideology, their belief. They hate Jews, they hate Christians, they hate our Western culture, and this is going to be impact on us in generations coming. I'll tell you nothing too. This is a win for these radicals in this country. To have these women brought back into Australia, it is a win for them, and it's a loss for Australia.
It's hard to disagree with any of that, because when you listen to the Australian Federal Police, clearly there are security concerns.
Some individuals will be arrested and charged. Some will face continued investigations when they arrive in Australia. And children who return in the cohort will be asked to undergo community integration programs.
So some charged, some watched by authorities. All this, of course, costing taxpayers a lot of money. The charges obviously relating to security concerns. The children who are the victims in all this, innocent victims, we understand that. But, of course, all of their care and integration and perhaps even de-radicalisation will be at the burden of Australian taxpayers too.
Of course it will be, Chris. And they've actually been working on the Silverwater detention centre or prison there to actually house them in that space. Even one of the fathers of one of these women said, don't bring her back to Australia. He didn't want his own daughter back in Australia. He understands. Not only these kids have been radicalised in these camps as well. You will never be able to trust these people. I don't care how many do-gooders are out there thinking they can change them and bring them back into society. You will never be able to do that with these people, because you'll always be fearful of them. And I think that main Australians out there, if they're put in the educational system, will they ever trust them or believe them?
Well,
until we root out the evil of this Islamic ideology in this country, we're going to end up like Britain, Canada, Denmark, France, Germany, you name it.
Well, this is what worries me so greatly about this, because we're all concerned about humanitarian issues with people who are now stateless in Syria and the rest of it. But our greatest security threat in this country is Islamist extremism. We've had 15 Australians shot dead on Bondi Beach just in December. We need governments to tackle the extremists, and they're letting in 4 adults who were part of ISIS. Now, if you listen to ASIO, they're trying to assuage or reassure the public, but it just points to how concerning this is. Here's the ASIO Director General.
So our job is to identify and understand the risks to returning individuals. We have done that. We've provided it to our mates in the police force, and the government understands our assessed risk. I'm not concerned immediately by their return, but they will get our attention, as you'd expect.
They've assessed the risk, they've made assessments, they've passed it on. The police are arresting some people. Of course, ASIO also assessed the 2 men, one who was dead and one who is allegedly a gunman at Bondi, assessed them and didn't follow up on them as well. Yet we're all supposed to be relaxed and comfortable about this now.
You got 18,000 people on ASIO watch list, and I don't know who those people are or for what reason they're on the watch list. The fact is we don't know who these people are, and actually they're under-resourced, ASIO, to actually track and keep an eye on these people. We've seen this happen around the world. What happens now? We're at 4% of Muslims in the country, about 1 million people. I'm not saying all Muslims are radicals, by no means, and please don't take me the wrong way. But we actually have to be mindful of where we bring these people in from and which countries. And we've seen this happen constantly all the time around the world. So once they get numbers here, then they empower themselves into local, state and federal governments. They take over suburbs. We are being inundated now with those ones that are breeding in the country. We're paying for them to have their kids here. We've actually got Sharia law. It's happening. Building of mosques. It just constantly goes on and on. And Australians sit back and say, oh, well, what's your problem? You know, there is a big problem. And if you don't open up your eyes to see what the hell is happening in our country and learn from other countries and the mistakes that they've made in welcoming these people, you're going to suffer the consequences in time to come. And that's what I've got to say about the matter, Chris.
Well, people will say you're too harsh. People will say you're too strong on this stuff. But my biggest problem is the government won't even talk about it. This is a real issue. It requires real attention. We have a government who will do nothing about it. They won't even mouth the words Islamist extremism. They're letting in hate preachers into this country until the media flags them and then they deport them. And now they're letting in the ISIS to women and Lord knows what sort of beliefs they're bringing back into this country.
Okay, great interview there by Pauline. She's really leading the conversation here, dragging the political landscape, exposing them into the light. I'm so grateful for her leadership on this issue. She's brought up some fantastic points. The point that ASIO has 18,000 people already on their watch list. They are underfunded to even manage and monitor these people. The government won't tell us anything about these people. They don't have any transparency about it. And if they are underfunded and overworked and overwhelmed, why on earth are they bringing in more people who will undoubtedly need to be on the ASIO watch list? They will need to monitor these people and watch them. Now, that is going to be extremely costly. On top of that, they will probably not be able to ever get jobs in Australia. I mean, who's going to employ them? And they're probably going to be on the taxpayer bill, on the welfare, for a long, long time, and it's going to be very costly. Also, their children have been radicalised and isolated and had some very dark ideas probably placed in their minds. And to think that a little bit of Australian counselling or programs can completely remove that, I think is completely naive by the Australian government. And I don't think the broader community accepts that nonsense either. But these children might be okay for a while, but what happens when they grow up and they're ostracised and they feel hard done by? These radical ideas could easily manifest once again. And do we really want to take that risk with our children's future? I don't think so. I think it's completely naive of this government. I think they're doing it just for their voting bloc, and that's a disastrous situation for our country to be in, that their population has gotten so big that the government isn't willing to upset them by protecting Australians. What a disastrous situation for our country. Thank goodness Pauline is speaking up and exposing this, and we need to support her to do that. So I want you guys to tell me, how do you guys feel about these ISIS brides and their children arriving back in Australia? Do you feel safe? Do you think it's a good way to spend our taxpayer money? It's just not a good look. It's wrong. The government is weak. They are beholden to that community, which is growing too big. We need to stop bringing in that ideology, stop bringing in those people to protect Australian culture, protect our way of life. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you on the next one.